Alright, welcome to Zebo Nation Plays Football Manager 2016. This is my epic save. It's our 16th season. It's the year 2031 in the future. We're playing Toronto FC of Major League Soccer. That's the team I've coached for all 16 seasons. They are in MLS. If you're familiar with them or not, the league gets a little bit of a bad rap, I think, because it doesn't have a lot of the traditional trappings of promotion and relegation and things like that. It's got a salary cap and things that maybe European fans or fans from other nations aren't quite used to. But I gotta tell you, as an American sports fan, Major League Soccer makes perfect sense to me. You know, the draft, the salary cap, all that stuff. I like it. I understand it. Makes sense to me. I don't want to deal with relegation, quite honestly. You know, if you have a bad season, that's fine. Just come back next season. You don't got to worry about coming back into the league and all that stuff. So let's look at the league a little bit. It's split into two divisions, Eastern Conference, Western Conference. You compete in the regular season for something called the Supporters' Shield, which is basically a winner-take-all. First place team wins the Supporters' Shield. Team with the best record overall. A lot of your board, what am I thinking of? Well, they call it board confidence, but it's the things they ask you to do anyway. The things your job is based off of is usually the Supporters' Shield and where you finish. You know, they either want you to finish in the mid-tier, the top half, or they want you to win it, depending on how good your team is. The other thing we compete in is the North American Champions League. Again, winner of the Major League Cup, which is the playoff system after the Supporters' Shield. If you win that, you go on to the Champions League, where you compete against other North American teams that won their leagues, usually Mexican leagues and things like that. Then we're also, because we're a Canadian team, in Toronto, we compete in the Canadian Championship. And that's another way to get into the Champions League. Then we have a minor little competition called the Trillium Cup. It's just us against Columbus FC, sort of grudge match kind of situation going on there. Some years the board wants you to win it, some years they don't care. It's really hit and miss, honestly. Let's look at our club a little bit, a little history behind Toronto FC. Founded in 2007, so it's like 100 years behind a lot of other clubs, especially European clubs and things like that. But over the years, we've built up our reputation. We're up to a 3-star club. That's pretty good, I think, for a North American club. Finances are rich. Again, we've built those up. We've been good stewards of those. We've got a good ownership group, good chairman. Look at our board here. So a lot of this might be familiar to you if you played this game at all. Most teams have boards and chairmans and all that kind of stuff. This is what your job security is based off of. You've got different staff and roles for your team. I don't worry about a director of football operations. I do most of that stuff myself. Head of youth development, they help you manage and cultivate your youngsters on your team. That brings us to our affiliate clubs, which are basically our minor league clubs. We've got TFC2, which quite honestly you don't have a lot of control over these guys and what they do. They're just a team that you can send young players down to nearly automatically. If the player agrees to it, you can send them down there to get experience. They can play in the minor leagues, and if they're not going to start for your team, not going to get a lot of time for your team, send them down there. The other reason, personally, I do it is because I coach the Canadian team. So I do it to bring some foreign players over, young players, park them down there, and they, continue to build their Canadian citizenship. But we'll talk about that if you want to follow the Canadian team that I coach. I've got a stream for that as well. Then you've got your academy team. Each year, there's a new crop of youngsters that get brought into your team. Quite honestly, they're usually not very good. You pretty much have one or two guys each year that might be useful to you. At 18 years old, they graduate from here, but you can call them up to your team anytime you want to. They're usually very cheap, but it takes a lot of patience to build these youngsters up. And let's look at our finances. We mentioned that before. See, our finances, we're pretty good. We're getting near the 80 million mark here. So that's a pretty good chunk of change to have in the bank. Get our actual budget is 24 million, which is pretty low. If you are used to a lot of European clubs, there'll be one player a lot of times who'll be making more than 24 million a year. So you're dealing with a different scale, a different level of finances here. But you can still make some interesting teams out of it. You can still play, I think, good quality football. And one way you do that is by manipulating the salary cap. There are several ways to do that in Major League Soccer. So let's look at our registration here. You look here, now the regular salary cap is a little over $3 million. It's, I think, $3.5 million, somewhere around there. But as you can see, I'm spending $5 million on my team, on my payroll. And a lot of that is hidden money. A lot of that is money that I've allocated there from my transfer budget. And that's one of the biggest ways that you can manipulate the salary cap is with your transfer funds. So you get transfer funds every season. If you make the playoffs, if you don't make the playoffs, you get different amounts of money. If you do different things during the season, if you win a cup or something like that, they'll give you transfer funds. You also get transfer funds just by selling players. You know, if you get a real good player, you can sell them to a team overseas. You can trade players with MLS and get some transfer funds that way. You can allow lower level teams to buy some of your not so good players, you know, and you'll get some transfer funds that way. And you just kind of build it up and build it up. And every once in a while you'll get a big sale. Like I sold a guy for $8 million a few years ago, and that's pretty much kept me in transfer funds for the last few years. And so what you do with those transfer funds is you ask the board, you go down here to finances, you go down here to make budget adjustments, and you just move this little slider along, and you can change your salary cap. So if I wanted to, use all of my transfer funds, I could have a $6 million payroll, which I don't really want that. I don't need that, but I could do it if I wanted to, if it called for it. The other way you manipulate the cap is by hiding money, hiding player salaries. You get a maximum of 8 off-budget players. I've got 6 right now. Off-budget players are youngsters with a certain type of contract. If they've got a reserve contract, they don't count. If they're a special kind of player called a Generation Adidas player, and there's a whole draft for those players where you draft those, their salary doesn't count against your cap. There are also homegrown players, players that you bring up from your academies. They don't count against the cap, at least a total of, 8 of them. So, well, the reserve players are their own category. So you get 6 of those, 8 reserve players. I think you can have 10 total of those. The rules are a little fuzzy, right? They're a little hard to get a hand on. But you just got to kind of manipulate them a little bit and try to understand them as best you can. You can hide money. The big way to hide money is with designated players. You get 3 designated players every season. You get 2 every season. You can buy a third. It's cheap to buy a third, so I don't know why you wouldn't buy a third. But these are players you can basically play any amount of salary that your board will approve to these players, and it doesn't count against your cap. So, for example, my big cash player here is Mr. Mamadou. He's a striker from Spain. And as you can see, he's getting $8 million a season, which is, more than all of my other players combined. But because he's a designated player, his contract doesn't count against the cap. So you get a total of 3 of those guys, and it's very important to pick the right ones. Like right now, I've got a goalkeeper that I sort of bought in desperation a couple seasons ago. He's one of my designated players. He's sitting on the bench. He's wasting money. So you got to be careful with that, but sometimes it's unavoidable. The other thing about the board is the reason I like Toronto FC, the reason I've stayed with them for so long, is their board doesn't really ask a lot out of me. Again, I don't have to worry about relegation, don't have to worry about promotion, so there's not that kind of pressure on me. So I'm pretty secure in my job. As you can see here, job security 68%. It's pretty good. Especially at the beginning of the season, haven't played any games yet. It's already 68%. I've had 100% job security for this team before. When I didn't even win the cup that year, I don't think. Just had 100% job security because they liked everything that I was doing. All right, so that's that. Let's look at our team. Go down here to our tactics. Got a bit of a transition, but also a lot of familiar faces this season. We've tried to make adjustments on our reserve team, our second team, and not a lot of adjustments on our top team. Actually, I don't have my full top team in here because I just came off another game. So I'll make my substitutions here. Pacheco in for Feely. Fisher in for McCarthy. We're starting to look a little better here. Vasquez in there. Mamadou. Bring in Kim. Okay, so here's our starters. We got a new young goaltender this year. Brazilian. We're trying to bring him along, trying to hope he gets his Canadian citizenship so that we can use him in Team Canada. That's a theme that we're going to go with here a lot. Trejo, Eduardo are back. Here's a new guy I just pulled up, Clay, another Brazilian, 20 years old, good potential. He's another guy we're hoping to keep around on the team for 5 years so he can be a Canadian. Nave is back, Sweeney's back, Pacheco, Fisher. We just traded away Noble, one of our long-time attacking midfielders, a kid who's been with us since he was like 16 years old. We traded him for 2 draft picks to Vancouver to keep him in Canada because he's going to be a member of Team Canada. But we had this youngster that we picked up in the draft, 22 years old. He's only 2 stars right now, but he's got 3.5 star ability. He's got tremendous athletic ability. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to progress really quickly. So I wanted to get him in the lineup as quick as possible. So traded away Noble, brought in Velasquez. Mamadou's back. Kim is back. A lot of these reserve players are familiar to you if you watch my previous season. Marples is a young Canadian we're trying to bring along. Try to get him in as much as possible. Anybody else worth mentioning down here? Chavez has been injured, but he's back. He's one of our leading defenders typically, and he just got his Canadian citizenship, so we're going to try to call him up to Team Canada if possible. And then if you notice down here, my roster is pretty huge. My roster is pretty huge, and a lot of guys are on loan. This is because I've turned Toronto FC into a feeder team for Team Canada. So all these guys are either Canadians or they're hopeful Canadians, young players that I'm just trying to park them somewhere in Canada to get their citizenship and get them some playing time, and hopefully they improve. So there we go. That's our team. It's the state of affairs. Let's go to our match. Now we haven't started the regular season yet, but we're going to do a little preseason match against FC Redbull Salzburg. Let's check out these guys here. I believe they're German division. Is there any way to look at their team? Just have to go to the schedule. You probably know more about them than I do if you watch their games at all. We go Austrian, not German. Forgive me. Pardon me. Austrian Premier Division, 4-star club, secure finances. Okay, so they're pretty good. I've seen these guys on television before. Of course, they've got the Red Bull logo, so a lot of people know them. They're not the New York Red Bulls, but maybe their sister club over in Austria. They're a pretty decent team. 3 stars, 3.5 star guys. Nothing too daunting. I mean, we've faced teams like this before. We've beat teams like this before. Their big problem appears to be injuries. So we'll see if they field a weaker club against us or not. Let's go back, just make sure we got everything set here in our team. Everything looks set. Chavez did come back from injury. Guess I'll bring him up for Jordan, just to bring him in as a reserve. Get him a little bit of playing time. As you can see, he's not match fit at all. Got a few guys that aren't match fit. But for the most part, I try to play a lot of guys. When I play these friendlies, I play everybody. I play 22 guys. When I play these friendlies, just to get everybody involved. So I like everybody to be match fit going into the season, so that then I can mix and match. If there's an injury, the guy coming off the bench isn't, at 60% or whatever match fitness. He's more like 80% or 90%. He's ready to go. He's ready to play. I don't know if anybody else does that. I don't know if I'm alone in that. I've never seen anybody do that, but most people don't show their preseason matches, so it's hard to tell if anybody else ever does that. We've got a very good coaching staff. We've got probably the best coaching staff in MLS, at least according to their ranking in MLS. So they give us some good advice, but they never quite do what we want them to do, which is close down on everybody. Everybody who's going to try to make a play, we try to close down on those guys. So that's fullbacks, midfielders, attacking midfielders, and strikers we mark closely. Let's give a pep talk. Passionate. Go out there and show me what you got. Kidoki instructions. Basic instructions. We like to counterattack. We like to play high. I try to tell guys to stick to positions. Just helps me understand the flow of the game and what's going on in the game. I don't know if it helps them, but it helps me. Oh god, sound. Sound. Can't have the sound, it messes with the microphone. There we go. Alright, so we're at home, BMO Field. Far from a sellout. This place is usually packed, but preseason is different. There's a nice steal by Velasquez. Up to Kim, our young striker, who's now a veteran. He was a draft pick from the MLS entry draft, which don't knock it until you tried it. It's cool. I enjoy it. You get 4 free transfers of the best young players in the United States come to your team every season. It's a good deal if you can get it. All right, Nave. Nave is a draft. Most of these guys, a lot of these guys are draft picks. Trejo's a draft pick from God knows how long ago, 10 years ago, still on the team. All right, they've got a good counterattack going. That's offsides. Nope, not offsides, but good defense. Let's get out there. And cover him. No. Okay. Clay, our new man. See, we're worried about this goaltender. He's a youngster. I believe he's only 19 or 20 years old. Not a lot of experience under his belt, so we got to try to keep the shots off of him. Their defense looked to be back, so I don't know if our counterattack strategy is going to work on these guys or not. Struggled to keep possession. All right, so we'll listen to our coaches. Old Mr. Ramirez up here. I believe he's our assistant coach, our lead assistant coach. So we'll try to hold on to the ball a little bit. Like to stop their attack here. So we like to get steals and counterattack. That's Nave. What are you doing, buddy? Oh, you're dangerous. Oh, you're killing me. All right. Steals and counterattacks, that's why we like to play the high pressure game. We like to get stuck in like that. Of course, we're supposed to get the ball when we do that. Not supposed to get beat around the edge for goals. That's not what's not supposed to happen. But this is preseason. That kind of stuff's going to happen in preseason. Occasionally. Novak, that's just poor defense. Oh, the goaltender should have had that. Goaltender should have had that. That's our youngster. Now we've got a 30-something-year-old guy sitting on the bench, but he's that designated player that I spoke of earlier who's been, he's declined so much that he's no better than the youngster, honestly. Just has more experience. All right, they look like they're packing in the defense a little bit here. Fisher, he's our team captain. Velasquez is our youngster. Amadou's our number one striker. There he is. That's why he's our number one striker. That's why we're paying him $8 million a year. He can score them goals. Off the rebound, he just goes and gets his own pass and just sort of easily puts it in the top corner. That's the kind of striker that he is. Put him in front of net, and he usually scores. Velasquez, I really like his physical abilities. I like how tall he is, how big he is. He needs to get a little bit of strength, a little bit of balance, and a little bit of experience. But, he makes plays. Ouch, when he's not getting crushed on the ground, he makes plays. So that's one thing we have to worry about. And if he can't handle the day-to-day grind of the MLS, that's fine. We still got Fisher, our team captain. He can play advanced midfielder. There's Eduardo, our stalwart defender. He's another guy. He was a Brazilian. Brought him up here. Now he's Canadian. Plays for Team Canada. One of our important cogs. So we're hoping we can do that with more players. Boy, they've got some crisp passing here. That's no good. That's no good. I wonder who was that. Eduardo that got beat there. See the guy in the green shoes? I think so. That's no good. Mr. Vukovic goes right around him. Let's see. Just goes right past him. For the goal. All right, 2-1, 21 minutes gone. It's pretty exciting first half so far. This sparse crowd to see. I'm used to, 30 to 60,000 people in this stand because they can open it up to accommodate 65,000 if they want to, if they get a big match. Usually, like if we have a championship match of the Canadian Championships, it'll reach 60,000, 65,000. But for most of our league matches, it's around 30,000, which is still pretty good. We've got 20,000 season tickets every season. Ouch. Vukovic again. Can we... don't want to see that again. Alright, can we... let's see. We close down on old Mr. Vukovic. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Tactics. Opposition. Who's Vukovic? Well, we're closing down on him as good as we can. Can't double cover him like you can in the NBA or something, but we're doing the best we can. So we're just about on halftime. We're down 2 goals. It's not at the end of the world, but it ain't good. I'll tell you that. It ain't good. Velasquez is getting winded out there, the youngster, to sub him out pretty quickly in the second half. Let's be passionate here. I know you can play better. Let's see it in the second half. Instructions. Don't really know what we can do here other than let's use tighter marking. Let's be more disciplined. If this was a regular game, I'd go stuck in, but for a friendly, try to keep it gentlemanly, right? All right? I mean, you don't want to be seen as a bad guy, bad team. Send, excuse me, don't want to send players to the hospital here. Save that for the MLS. Because we do like to play a rough style. We're usually one of the leading penalty getters in the league. Oh, I'm watching the World Cup, or not the World Cup, I'm watching the Olympics. Gold medal match, Brazil, Germany. Look at that. I mean, I don't think this will be up in time for it to spoil anyway, but I won't spoil it anyway. Just good plays. All right, get to that ball. What are you doing, people? You're killing me. Clay. My man, Clay. Yeah, he's the one who got beat for the goal. Number 4. So we'll be glad to get Chavez back, I think. I mean, we don't want to put it all on Clay, but he's not going to be our starter anyways. He wanted to be our starter during contract negotiations, but we had to nip that in the bud. Not going to let that happen. Nave, he's been more aggressive in these last couple seasons. He's still not a very good shooter, but he's not as reluctant to shoot as he used to be. All right, Velasquez is below our threshold. We have a 70% threshold. Once guys get below 70%, we bring them out. So, let's try young Mr. Forrester here. He's one of our leading strikers, young man from England, but he can play attacking midfielder. Put him in at shadow striker, so we'll essentially be playing with 3 strikers. That's another reason why I was okay letting Noble go, because we've got so many strikers that we can use Forrester in this role this year. So I'm not upset about that at all. Trejo is also below our threshold. So we got a very good right back tandem with Trejo and Gallegos. We've even got a third guy who's pretty good, because fullbacks are very important to the style of play that I use. I don't use wingers at all, never have. 16 years without a winger. I put it all on my fullbacks. It usually works out, if you got good fullbacks. If you don't got good fullbacks, then you're in trouble. You got to try something different. But I've got a bevy of quality fullbacks, although they're not doing much this game. Here we go. There's our new man, Forrester. Kim Pacheco's another draft pick who paid off well. Here's our new substitute, Gallegos. He's double covered over there. Back to Fisher, the team captain. Likes the little side boot. That's one of his signature passes. Pacheco, good feed. Oh, Kim couldn't beat the goaltender, but that was a good pass. Good 1-2 play there. All right, let's get Nave out. Oh, what's up with Maggio? Why is he not feeling good? He's one of our youngsters. He doesn't have a ton of potential, but he's got good crossing. He's a good offensive fullback, so we don't mind having him on the roster. Although he needs to be feeling better. Let's give him a little pep talk here. Let's be passionate. No, let's not be passionate. That's gonna make him crazy. No. These are all just gonna make him nervous. Pressure's off. I want you to go out there and play your natural game. That's about the best I can do. Okay, so he's relaxed. You don't want to put too much pressure on these young guys. They'll get nervous. So just tell them, go out there, do your thing. We got some more subs to make here. See, this is what I do in the preseason. All right, let's not put Chavez in just yet. Let's put our youngster Marple's in there. Marple's 6'7". So he is a very good aerial presence. Let's see, Pacheco also. Bring in Feely. He's one of our Team Canada guys. He's a good offensive midfielder. He likes to shoot from long distance. He's got good first touch, so he doesn't lose track of the ball once it gets on his foot. So there we go. So the thing I like about this team now is I've built up so much depth that honestly it doesn't matter all that much when I bring guys off the bench. They're just as good, nearly anyway, as good as the starters. Ouch, that was a brutal tackle there. Mr. Feely right out of the bat. It's that Team Canada style of football. Oof. Oof. Vukovic again with the hat trick. Oh, offsides? Is he? He's going to protest. Feely's going to protest the goal. See if the flag goes up here at the bottom of the screen. See the referee? No, that was onside. So our young goaltender is not passing his first major test. I gotta admit this. He is looking shell-shocked here. None of our guys have a great rating. Well, Fisher does, but it's time to take him out. 78th minute. Let's get the rest of our reserves in there. McCarthy's not feeling good. Oh, I've been trying to trade McCarthy. Side note, because he's a guy with a lot of value, $4.5 million, but I don't particularly need him. He's coming off the bench. He's good. Grant you, he's good. But I got guys coming off the bench. I got young guys I need to bring up into the lineup, and I can't do that. He's clogging the pipes. So like Scott, I've had to move him to defensive midfielder, even though he's fine. He can play either defensive midfielder or central midfielder. But I had to move him down to defensive midfielder because there was no room for him at central midfielder. I had to get rid of a couple of other guys to make room for Scott. So it's like a cascade effect, Alright, I think Clay's about ready to come out here. 80th minute, we'll finish our subs here. Clay, Chavez, because at this point in the season, like you'd like to win the matches, of course, but it's all about getting the right guys playing time. So let's get Jose Casada. He was another big pickup for us last season. He's a youngster from Costa Rica with very, very good ability, very, very good potential. He's got the possible potential to be a 5-star guy. But right now he's kind of stuck at 4 stars, and we're fine with that. That's good enough for Major League Soccer, I'll tell you that. And he's coming off the bench, but he's going to be our eventual replacement for Mamadou. We're going to let Mamadou's contract run out, and then we're not going to re-sign him, and we're going to have young Mr. Jose take his spot. Just like we used to have a guy named Martinez, who was, one of our Team Canada stalwarts. But we brought Kim along, and now Kim has taken his spot. So that's how it goes. Bring up the young guys, let the old guys play out their contracts or trade them away. And then once the young guys are ready, you move them in there. Alright, so there we go. Full time. 4-1 defeat. Not great. Not what I was hoping for this first... Well, not the first match, but this introductory match to Season 16. Let's be calm about this. Yeah, that's why we play friendlies, to improve. You need much improvement, that's for sure. All right. See, our guys don't like to be coddled. They don't like to be lied to. You gotta tell them the truth. Even if the truth hurts a little bit, gotta tell them the truth. They need to get better. I mean, you don't have to be a jerk about it, but you gotta get better. So here we go. Stats. Fisher, of course, played well. 8.0 rating, 11 key passes. It was pretty obvious that Vukovic was going to be the man of the match with 3 goals, 9.5 rating. I mean, this is brutal. This is brutality over here. 9 shots, 6 on target, 4 goals. No, you can't have that. So we got to hope this young goaltender improves. Otherwise, we're going to have to go out on the transfer market and try to get a budget goaltender like we did a couple seasons ago, but that got us in trouble, because we still got that guy on our team. So that's the reality of managing a team, though. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So there you go. There's our introduction to Season 16 Toronto FC. See you later. Bye.